Good morning and welcome to Joe Sammet Live on this beautiful hot Monday morning on July the 6th. Welcome to everybody and thank you for joining me again today. Today's topic is, should you consolidate or should you have your mortgage reviewed? Should you look at potentially refinancing? And I'm going to touch on a couple of things today. The timing couldn't be better. Reason I say that is because I just quite coincidentally had a client contact me on Saturday who found themselves in a situation and they didn't quite know where to turn. They didn't quite know what to do. And their phone call, as I said, was quite timely because it gave me the opportunity to actually have a discussion with somebody that's going through this exact thing we're talking today. So some of the questions that have come through to us are, should you consolidate debt and will it get you further ahead if you refinance your mortgage? Are you able to refinance renovation money? That's another thing that we get asked all the time. And another thing, I mean, especially now that we're all having an opportunity to revamp or to reassess our lives and our credit and things like that, it's an opportunity for us to look at different ways that we could potentially invest, get equity out of your home for investment purposes, put the kids through school, things like that. So again, very, very timely. And we'll touch on today some of the savings. But the one instance that, again, I spoke to this client about on Saturday is a little bit disturbing. And the reason I say that is because they were suffering in silence, for lack of a better term. They found themselves doing some renovations on their house over the last couple of years, and they racked up a whack of credit card debt and line of credit debt. And they've since gone to two different locations. One was a broker, one was an actual bank, and neither of those instances or neither of those individuals were able to help them. In fact, they were shot down by the broker and they were never even called back by the bank. So the concern that I have is that people, again, are suffering in silence. People are not knowing what to do. They are accepting the situation the way it is today, or the way their current situation is. It could be with a mortgage and a lot of outstanding debt, and not knowing exactly where to turn or what to do. They just make the minimum monthly payments and they dig themselves deeper into a hole. And my concern to all of this is that sometimes when they turn to who they think are professionals for advice, they're not being given the right advice. They're not being given the attention that they deserve, the attention that they need to get them out of this situation, and they are then left high and dry. That is a huge concern of mine, simply because there is always a solution. There is always a fix. There is always a way to get somebody out of a situation that they find themselves in. And now, again, please bear in mind that I'm talking about individuals right now that own homes where they have built up some equity. So if you don't own a home, unfortunately, this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but it's most definitely more geared toward, again, individuals that have equity in their houses. So there's a solution that we can present. There's a solution that we can discuss. There's always a way that we can fix the issue, the situation that an individual finds themselves in, even if it means coming down to selling the house and liquidating all the equity to clean up their debt. So this particular case on Saturday that I'm talking about, again, they've been suffering with some very high interest rate debt, lines of credit, credit cards, and things like that. And they have been making minimum payments, just barely making minimum payments. And I think we all know after the sessions that we've had up until now that it would take years and years to pay off this unsecured debt, because it's designed to, unfortunately, keep you in debt for quite some time. So unless you take steps to remedy that, or unless you make a ton of money to be able to pay it all off, or you've inherited money to pay it all off, then you're going to be paying that debt over time and a long time. So this couple, young couple, baby less than a year old, they have been, as I said, struggling, trying to make these minimum payments and keep themselves ahead and keep their head above water. So what we talked about doing was taking their current 5-year fixed mortgage that they have at a bank, and we looked at the option of adding a second mortgage to consolidate the debt. Well, the issue with that would be that by putting a second mortgage on, second mortgage rates are at higher rates than first mortgage rates, and the ultimate monthly cost to these individuals going to be too high to bear or too high to be comfortable. It wasn't really going to get them further ahead. So the option that we decided on was to take the first mortgage that they have at the bank and all of their debt and consolidate it into a new, what is called an alternative mortgage or an Alt-A mortgage. Some people refer to it as a B mortgage, but otherwise known as an alternative A. What that does is that gives them the ability to get into a brand new mortgage, a brand new first entire mortgage. Yes, at a slightly higher rate than it would be if it were with a bank, but it gives them the opportunity to get out of this debt that they've accumulated over time. And the idea is to do this type of structure for maybe a year or 2 years to get them to the point where all of their debt has been cleaned. They've learned how to maintain better credit or better debt loads. And then a year or 2 years from now, we then take them to a bank and we get them approved at a lending institution like a chartered bank or a monoline lender, somebody like that. So from that standpoint, we're able to free up the money, free up some of the equity in their home. We're able to use the equity in their home to pay off the debts that they've incurred. They maintain a very manageable, nice, attractive mortgage to get them through this hump, to get them through this rebuilding time. And then we'll coach them on what they need to do to rebuild their credit. So that way, again, a year or 2 years from now, we can take them to a bank. So that is a situation with an individual that called me panicking. They wanted a mortgage review, a mortgage checkup, and I will gladly work with anybody to review their mortgage, to review their current debt situation, to see if there are solutions for them. And if we can help, then by all means, we'll present some options to them. If we can't help, we can most likely advise them as to what they can do. Some of the questions we get asked are, what does it cost to do a mortgage review? There is no cost whatsoever. You call myself or anyone on my team, and we would be happy to have a quick review with you to let you know what the situation might look like, what your options may end up being. If we end up moving forward and taking you to an institution for a new mortgage, you may incur costs associated with your old mortgage, and you may incur legal fees and setup fees, but we make sure that all of that makes sense as part of the equation to figure out whether or not this is a viable option for you. So all of that gets uncovered. But as far as our services go, for the initial mortgage review, there are no costs or fees whatsoever. And again, depending on which direction we have to go, if there were costs, we would most certainly make you aware of those. How long does the process take? If we have a discussion, let's just, for example, say today, Monday, and we gather information from you today and tomorrow, we could have you approved by Wednesday, Thursday. We could have the refinance in place within the next 3 weeks. So you could theoretically have money in your hands and debt consolidated all within a 3 to 4 week period from the time it starts. Now, we do need a lot of cooperation. We would need to make sure that we get all of the accurate information up front and provide us with the detailed employment and bank accounts and things like that. All of that would then determine how quickly we can turn this around for you. Will your lender know that you're getting a mortgage review? The answer is no. Ideally, what we would like to do, if we can, is take you back to your current lender to see what we can do to avoid, if not mitigate or reduce some of those costs and fees that it would cost you to leave them. So we'll do what we can to take you there first and see what we can propose and see what we can come back to you with as far as an option. So from that standpoint, it is always a good time, or I get asked the question, when is the best time to do a mortgage review? There's really not a good answer to that other than any time is the best time to do a mortgage review, simply because you don't want to do what some individuals do, and that is suffer in silence, not knowing that you have somewhere to turn, someone to talk to, options available to you to refinance your mortgage and get you into a much better, healthier financial position going forward. Our goal when we're speaking to our clients or individuals that contact us is to source for you or to give you the guidance that you need to get where you want to go, to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish at no cost or minimal cost, depending on, again, the situation. But we want to be able to give advice. And if ultimately the advice that we give you is to sell your home and liquidate the equity, well, there's no mortgage business in that for us, but it is the right advice for our client, because we want to make sure that people are walking away with information that they can build on, that they can benefit by. So our goal is to review everyone's mortgage. If we can accomplish to set out to get you what you need to, again, alleviate credit or take care of the credit needs that you have, then we've been successful. If we can't, we'll at least give you the advice that you need. So please don't hesitate to give us a call. Share this post with anybody that you know that might be suffering in silence. And I use that quite loosely. I don't mean to insult anybody. I would like to think that people that are finding themselves in tremendous amounts of debt, that they are turning to the people that can help them the most. And we are those people. So please reach out, give us a call, reach us through any of our social media contacts that you see below. And I would welcome the opportunity to speak with any of you or anybody that you do know. So thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.